You play the game to win. And I wish we could have got it done. It's definitely good to get that first game under my belt, though. Get that experience running around out there with the guys. I made a couple good catches, had a touchdown, which is great. I just kind of wish it meant a little bit more, in the game. We tried to make a comeback towards the end, but, you live and you learn.
Andrew, this is Alan from the Alan and Aaron Sports Tech Radio Show. Glad to have you on board with us today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us today. And you alluded to, that fact that you made the touchdown catch. It must have at least felt good. I know that you didn't win the game, to at least get that first catch and kind of touchdown, that is. Describe that moment when you did scored a touchdown.
I felt numb, But, we had a good play call, and we got the look we wanted. And when I made that move, I was just hoping that the ball got out, and it did. So it all kind of just came together. And like I said, man, I felt numb. It didn't really even hit me, but it felt good.
And talk about, now that you are with the XFL, the differences between the XFL, if any, with the fan control football league that you were a part of.
Well, in terms of the actual game itself, it's a huge difference because fan control football was, indoor arena style, 7-on-7. But in, the FCF had a lot of really good players that, some of the top players in that league are now in the XFL. So in terms of the talent, it's nothing that I haven't seen before, but, now I'm back out to 11-on-11, which I haven't done in, a year and a half since college in the spring league. So it's good to get back outside on a big field.
And some weird feedback here, guys. Just make sure if you're not talking or after you've asked a question, if you could mute, please. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
So Andrew, I'll come in. This is Kyle Nash with the 3-point conversion. Good to meet you, man.
You too.
Obviously, you mentioned we would all prefer to have seen a win if you're with the Guardians organization, no question. But as you come out here, you're talking about the big catch that you had and all that. Looking at the stats, the offense moved the ball. Is it simple enough to say that you guys just kind of shot yourself in the foot, making mistakes? You don't have preseason, all that stuff. Do you think this is just kind of the minutia of getting prepared for week one that really kind of impacted the result there?
Yeah, it's, as a football player, man, you never want to make excuses. And, we had a good idea of what the defense was going to be doing, and they did what we thought. We just didn't execute. We started fast, which was great, but we definitely ended up stalling out, which was frustrating.
That being said, too, with that in mind, you guys, like we alluded to the fact, you guys did move the ball quite a bit throughout the game. Even opening drive had a touchdown. Are you kind of building on that success in practice this week? And what has been the focus for practice as you prepare for the home opener this weekend?
Well, it's good because now we at least have a little bit of film on the opponent. Going into week one, we didn't have much to work with. So it's good now that we got some film on them. We can put in some game plan specific concepts that we think will, help us have success against that San Antonio defense. So we're definitely fired up to get home in front of our crowd, and we got to, we just got to get it done.
And I was going to build on that too, getting away from the X's and O's for a second. Obviously, the league opener has happened. You had the inaugural Guardians game, but how much sweeter is it going to be to come out in Orlando in front of the home fans? How exciting is that?
Well, I'll tell you this, I played D2, so I wasn't used to playing in front of a big crowd. That was the biggest crowd I've ever played in front of. And those Houston fans were wild. And it just made the game so much more fun. Even though they weren't rooting for us, it just, the intensity in the stadium, man, it was awesome. So I'm just picturing that, but all Guardians fans, and I can't wait to play in front of something like that. And we'll definitely feed off that too.
Yeah, no, it's a heck of a note when the guys on the TV broadcast are talking about how long a wave lasts in the crowd. I don't think that was your game, but yeah, it was cool to see the reaction like that too.
Definitely.
Hi, Andy. How are you? Jeff Barnes from Team MBS Media. You had the breakout performance of the game. Now that it's out there, people have seen what you can do. How do you expect to adjust to the extra attention you're going to get now from defenses now that they've seen that you can make these explosive plays?
That's a good question. Well, at the end of the day, man, I just hear the play that's called. I line up and I try to do my job to the best of my ability, and even though I only, I was able to make that explosive play, which was great. But, a lot of times my assignments, weren't they were to block or be a clear out guy or do an underneath route. So I'm just trying to execute one play at a time, man. I don't want to look, at the big picture enough, and I'm just taking it one play at a time. But it definitely feels good that I got that play under my belt and I know what I can do.
Andrew, this is BP from A7BN Sports. Just a quick side note, kind of building off what Kyle said. I had a chance to go out to Ivanhoe Park Brewery and watch, see the things from the watch party. And this Orlando crowd seems a little jacked to have some football in their backyard. So you're going to have some fun, awesome. And we hope you guys bring the fire. Just sort of piggybacking off your performance, we started with Paxton Lynch at quarterback, and then Dormady came in, and it looks like we're going to see DeAndre Francois play next week, either starting or in relief. How important is it you and the wide receiving core developing rapport with your quarterbacks, plural? Because normally in a typical football scenario, you're usually in rhythm with one quarterback and not having to adjust mid-game as per process. How important is it for you to develop a rapport with all three quarterbacks on the roster?
I mean, it's extremely important. And, it is different because, you're kind of having a lot of the same conversations with the different quarterbacks to make sure you're all on the same page with everything. It's not just one guy that you got to get on the same page with. But I will say this, I like all three quarterbacks, and I think we can win with all three, so whoever's in the game, I'm confident, and we're just going to keep building. It's been a short training camp. We've never played with each other, but we've come a long way since we got here, and we're just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, Andrew, Alan again, what do you feel, besides, of course, that fantastic catch you made, the touchdown, in your mind? I know there's got to be some positives that you pulled away from this game. I know that, it wasn't a win, but what are some of the positives outside of the touchdown that you can take away and say, that went really well?
Yeah, I mean, not just with the offense, the defense made enough plays for us to win the game, I think in terms of the players we have on this team, there's no reason why we can't win a bunch of games. Going into the first game, you don't know what to expect. But after seeing their competition and a couple of the joint practices we have with other teams, man, I know we have the players to do it. So that's, the biggest takeaway that I think is a positive. We just gotta come together and make it happen. That's all it is.
Alan, I know where the feedback's coming from now. It's you, buddy. I need you to mute whenever you're not talking, please.
Okay.
Andrew, real quick, this is Kyle again. With that in mind, I'm sure you've had some time to do a little bit of film study throughout the week. Obviously, the week of preparation isn't done yet, but in your mind, what is it that jumps out about the opponent this week that fans should watch for, or you guys are looking out for? Obviously, you can't give me the playbook, but what's some of the stuff we'd be looking to see?
I mean, watching even just the first couple plays, I could tell that those guys play hard. They fly around. They want to run the rock. They got a really good running back. Two of them actually really good. And, on defense, they swarm to the ball. They're going to fly around and make plays, and they're going to bring the intensity. So we just gotta not only match it, but go above and beyond. And I know their home crowd was rocking, so that was cool to see too. I think they had like 24,000, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they were the biggest crowd of the weekend at a home venue there. And with that in mind, Orlando in the past has supported teams like this too. So, it'll be interesting to seeing what we'll see over in Camping World this weekend. But with that in mind, going through the training camp practice and even into practice this week, obviously you came from the Fan Control Football League and all that. Is there a particular piece of advice that you've gotten leading up to this contest or throughout this preseason leading into it that you've kind of been carrying for your performance here and that's helped you kind of succeed so far?
For me specifically?
Yeah.
I would just say I learned this from some of the veteran receivers on the team that, I've spent time in the NFL. You got to slow the game down. Obviously I'm going to go out there and play fast and fly around, but in terms of using my eyes and having awareness, I got to film study first to prepare to know where guys are going to be at. And I just got to slow the game down, so that's a really good piece of advice that I've been trying to build off of.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Andrew, real quick, you've been spending a lot of time in the state of Texas right now, both in preparation and that first game on the road in Houston. What's going through your mind as you finally get to play a game outside of the state of Texas in your home turf?
I'm excited, man. That's really it. I'm excited as hell, and I'm excited to get in that Florida heat. I think that's going to be a good switch up. It hasn't been too hot here, but it was hot today, so I think God's preparing us for this battle Saturday. It's gonna be high, and we're gonna get after it, man. I'm excited. I really am. It's gonna be fun to travel.
That's for sure. And even though that the Citrus Bowl is held at Camping World, we promise to hold the lemons from the fans if we possibly could.
Hey, that was crazy. I mean, that whole thing, and you saw how the DC team fed off that energy from the crowd. That was cool to see.
Time for one or two more here, guys, before we get Coach Ford in.
Gotcha. Andy, you seem to have a very good rapport with Dormady when he came in. Is it because you guys are taking more reps together than you have with any other quarterback?
If I'm being honest, he's just a really good friend. I'm good friends with all three quarterbacks, but he's in the hotel room next to me. So, I pop in there all the time and we just talk football, man. We just love football. Whether we're watching an NFL game or an XFL game, we just talk stuff over all the time. And we know if we get the look that we want, if he has time, he's going to put it on me. And like I said, man, I'm confident in all three quarterbacks, but they're all great dudes off the field. So that just makes it so much easier to work together and play hard for one another, honestly.
Andrew, I have to ask, and before Andy lets you go and all this stuff, you are the first person from out of the state of Florida that's uttered the phrase, "I'm looking forward to that heat." What constructs that thought? Tell me about that.
Man, it's just because the thought of it being a tough, grueling game and the heat making it harder, man, I welcome all that, I look forward to it, and I know some guys, even though they wouldn't want to admit it, maybe they shy away from stuff like that because it's going to be harder, but that's just something I embrace and I'm ready to take on. And honestly, once the game starts, I'm not even thinking about that too much, I'm just playing the game.
Plus, they lost a week to ice, right, Andrew? So you want to
Yeah.
So you want to
that
avoid
too.
all that, yeah. All right,
Right. And I'm from Massachusetts, man. It's always cold there. So whenever I get to the heat, I love it.
All right, we got to let Andrew go. Thank you very much for your time, buddy, and we'll have Coach Ford logging on here in any minute now.
My pleasure. Thanks, fellas. Good to meet you guys.
Great.
Appreciate you. Good luck this week.